Alright guys, so for the campground portion of the review for the Pictured Rocks National Park area, it's actually called the National Seashore up here in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We're going to take a look at a couple here. I didn't get a lot of pictures of everywhere, but there's some things that you need to know if you're going to come up here. Actually, staying out of the park may be what's right for you. It's probably what was right for us, but we did it. We got in here. It's a little tight. The campground that we're at here is called Little Beaver. I got a little bit of smoke in the camera because I'm not using the Solostove, because down here in the Little Beaver area, the mosquitoes have been crazy. So I wanted a more smoky fire in case you're picking that up. And the Harbor Freight Predator generator 3500 is also running in the background if you happen to hear it. Okay, so basically there's about 3 different campgrounds here in the national park area. With your senior pass or your handicap pass, you do get 50% off of those. They are all dry camping areas, so there's no electricity, no water. I didn't even see any water spigot anywhere around here. But I brought a tank of water, so that's been fine. Now, this campground is called Little Beaver. By looking at the pictures and stuff, it looks like one of the nicer areas, and I picked it from back home in Tennessee. Had good reviews, and I just went with it. But it did have some warnings. Take heed to this sign. It said that if you're over, I think it was 36 feet as a Class A, or you had a trailer with a combined length of over 42 feet. Now, I didn't exactly measure my camper, but my camper itself is 29 plus the truck, so I figured we were right at 42 feet. And getting in here, it was fine. The only issue that I had personally, we did pass a car once. That was a little bit hairy, but the road's windy, it's narrow. It's about 3 miles in here, which is the longest road going to a campground through here that I found. But the biggest problem with actually getting to the campground was more low-hanging branches. So if you're over like 10 feet tall, I would use caution there. None of the branches were really big. I just don't like branches raking across my roof. But I actually caught some of my brand new Halo View Dominator transmitter that's on the front of my camper. There was a couple leaves hanging under there. But I just don't like dragging leaves across the top of the roof. It makes me a little bit nervous. You know, like I say, they were all small branches, and I got up there and didn't see any damage or anything. But that's something that you got to keep in mind. Now the problem is when you get back here, there's only 8 campsites here at Little Beaver. So you got to remember, it's tight getting into the Little Beaver, okay? So it's really tight around the Beaver, okay? So you got 8 campsites. They're all spread out fairly close. There's about 20 feet in between each campsite. But just the loop itself is the hardest turn in the whole place back here. Forget the road coming in. The loop around the campground is the worst, okay? And what makes it worse is the campsites are all basically around the loop. Most of them are on the outside of the loop, and it's really hard in order to make that turn to get your trailer back in. There was also a sign right beside our campsite. It took me about 30-40 minutes to actually get my camper here in this campsite because of so much forward, backward, forward, sideways. It's like a 90-degree turn, a 90-point turn, okay? So it was very difficult getting the camper in here. Anyway, after you're in here, you know, like I say, there's no power. The campsite, even though I got the camper in here, was very tight. My slides almost hit a couple of rocks that mark the area where you're not supposed to park in. I had to park the truck at a different area. The other side was very tight against the brush. And my original point a while ago was at the beginning to make this even more difficult in me trying to respect nature. Somebody had marked a side, I don't know if it's true or not, but right in front of the driveway here where there was snapping turtle eggs. And so I managed to back this beast in here and not hit the snapping turtle eggs. I think I did a good job. It just took forever. It's going to take forever tomorrow when we leave too, but that's the way it works. You know, so back here, you can see behind me there's a beautiful lake. There is a boat ramp over here so you can put some kayaks and stuff in, because we're probably 10 foot above the lake here. And just doesn't seem to be any good like swimming areas or anything like that. Granted, I don't think this water stays very warm for very long, but there is an area to put your kayaks and stuff like that. I also read that there was a small canal that went from Little Beaver Lake to Beaver Lake, and so you can have quite a traverse there from what I understand. Now, like I said, Little Beaver is the furthest away from the main highway. It's about 3 miles in here. There was some pretty steep grades. It does make you kind of pucker when you're going in somewhere that you've never been with a 30-foot camper that's 12 foot high and you see this sign on the dirt road. So it was pretty wet when we came in. I was thinking I might even have to use 4-wheel drive to get out of here, but I don't think we're going to have to after I drove out today. But the other two options, the option that I would pick as the best campground would be the 12-Mile Beach campground. Now I'm putting a link for all these in the description there. But the 12-Mile Beach campground was nicer. It was closer to the road. It was also closer to, I believe it's Lake Superior. You could actually see the lake through the trees, the Great Lake. And because of that, there was more wind. So it's going to be cooler, which was great during a hotter time of the year, and maybe not so great whenever it starts cooling off. But all that wind, in my opinion, is going to help decrease the mosquitoes that were real crazy around here last night. It's a little bit windier tonight, and so for that reason there are less mosquitoes. I did get a Dyna trap to try at home to bring with us when we camp. I left it at my parents' house up in the near Traverse City because we weren't going to have electricity, and I'm not going to have the generator running. Quiet time starts here at 8 o'clock. But that's their rules, so that's what we do. So I did bring, I got a video before on mosquito control with the tiki torches. I did bring those. I'm going to link that video up here and check that out. So I'll say about the 12-Mile Beach campground. There is more room, and it's more easy to get campers in and out of there. I saw a few, but it's still, I think the hairiest part of all that, as long as you pick the right site, is going to be turning around at the end, the loop. It's pretty tight back there. So you got to keep that in mind. You got to be careful and just don't over push yourself. If you got a longer camper, stay at a private campground or somewhere that's further away from the actual national park area, because you're just going to drive yourself nuts. Now, some of these places, I feel like if it's tight, then it could be worth getting to. This particular place, it's kind of like, meh. I mean, it's pretty. Is it worth spending 45 minutes to park the camper? I don't think so. I mean, if we were sitting right beside, some of the pictured rocks with overhangs and that kind of stuff, I would say, yeah, spend an hour parking your camper, it's worth it. But for me, for this campground, I didn't really think it was worth fighting this thing in here. And this very well could be the biggest camper that's ever been in here. I don't know, but I know that it was tough. It's going to be tough getting it out of here too. So 12-Mile Beach campground gets my vote as the best, but I still, if I was you, I really wouldn't go to any of these campgrounds with more than a 15 to 20 foot camper max. I really like a pop-up or a tag-along, something like that's going to be the easiest for you. And then the third option is going to be, I believe it's called Hurricane River. It's split up into two campgrounds. You got a lower and an upper. They're about 0.2 miles off the road. They're pretty close to the main road. There didn't appear to be a lot to see right there in that area. It's not on the water or anything like here. At the same time, it appeared to be the most accessible. Now, that being said, it did look like you could get some bigger campers in there, but I would still say to use caution because it's still tight, and it's not worth it. So if you're going to be tent camping, if you got a small camper, bring it on down. My opinion, as far as if you have a small camper and you're looking for somewhere to go, would be the 12-mile beach first, Little Beaver second, and the Hurricane River third. That's what I would pick. So I want to give you links to all those, and be sure to check them out. And we're really enjoying the area, but we are doing a boat cruise tomorrow to actually take a look at the pictured rocks. And I think that is going to be fabulous. We did stop by somewhere called Miner's Castle today. It was very pretty as well. But just to get out on the water and see this beautiful landscape from the water, I think is going to be great.
Do not forget to hit that subscribe button.